It's there, it's hovering in front of your TV screen, we think, we hope, we wish, we pray. It's a little tiny itty-bitty scrap of paper with a TPOS logo on the top and a thank you for your order. Bit of hype, a bit of shill. And if you can see that, and if you can hear my voice, then you know that for some reason, for some miraculous turn of events, the technology is actually working and that you are indeed viewing Tent Talks Tunes, baby. That's Tent Talks Tunes. Live on the dreaded Facebook, as it does happen every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or if you can't be here live on a Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard, you can be on Facebook, where the episodes are permanently archived, or on my YouTube channel, where the episodes are permanently archived. Yes, I love saying it. Love saying it. You know, when you were in school and you misbehaved, it was always threatened that your misbehavior was going to go on your permanent record. It was understood that if your bad deeds went onto your permanent record, that was a very, very grave consequence. And you did not want for your ill behavior to go onto your permanent record. And it's just doubly, triply, quadruply ironic that indeed now we do have a permanent record. Yep. As long as there is a server somewhere in the galaxy, somewhere in the known universe that has a hard drive on it with an upload, download, link access to a terrestrial viewing port, we have a permanent record. Whether it's Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Gitchigumi, whatever there are just so many of them I cannot remember all of them, let alone a few of them. We have a permanent record. And so in a lot of ways that's good, because it means that people will be able to see Tent Talks Tunes at least until the sun goes supernova in a few billion years and turns planet Earth into a burnt out cinder. And, you know, when you look at it that way, it kind of makes every trivial little picayune problem of daily existence seem very small. Because really, the sun's going to go supernova in a few billion years and turn the entire Earth into a cinder. So really, you know, who cares? Everything's cool. Don't worry. Be happy. Drink a toast of Danbury Tap or whatever it is you're swigging right now to the fact that the sun is going to go supernova in a few billion years and turn the Earth into a cinder. It really removes all worries. Murray Gelman from Tucson, Arizona says, hurry up, burned out cinder. Oi, Murray. Ray Gelman says, do not be an apocalyptic tease. I'm not teasing it, kids. I'm just regurgitating what I learned in science class when I was a kid. Let's see who else is tuned in. We got a whole bunch of people tuned in. There's Pear from Sweden. There's Alan. There's a few people who said something, but their comments have scrolled up. And I'm assuming that you guys don't want to have too much of a close-up view of my dome, so I'm not gonna zoom in too much. I see that my pal Daniel from Danbury is in, and he says that The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald is arguably the greatest pop song ever. Arguably, of course, being the key term. I was never much of a Gordon Lightfoot fan. I'm still not much of a Gordon Lightfoot fan. We'll just kind of have to agree to disagree on that one. Eric from Chattanooga is tuned in. Hello, Eric. Eric was inquiring if I had any of my past episodes of my radio show, which was called Mr. Tent's Wild Ride, archived anywhere, and I had to tell him no. And Eric informed me, and this is a very good piece of information, that a lot of people upload their various mixes and stuff onto SoundCloud, where people can listen to them. And that sort of put the little germ of an idea in my head. Maybe I should upload some of my favorite episodes of Mr. Tent's Wild Ride onto SoundCloud so people can hear it. Would anybody be interested in that? I did a 2-hour radio show every single week, and I played I mean, like, if you know how Tent Talks Tunes works, right? Just imagine the musical equivalent of Tent Talks Tunes, in which instead of talking about a bewildering variety of music, I played a bewildering variety of music for a couple of hours every single week. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of, I'm seeing some positive feedback on that. I saw a lot of thumbs ups and hearts and things like that. Eric says yes. Alan says yes. There's more hearts and happy faces and stuff like that. All right. Okay. Cool. Oh, one angry face, too. Who's the wiseacre who posted the angry face at the thought of me uploading old episodes of my radio show? Reveal yourself. You'll notice I'm ignoring all the happy faces and all the thumbs up and all the hearts. I'm zeroing right in on the one angry face. Who's the wise guy? I want to know who you are. Go ahead. Yeah, lots of hearts. Lots and lots of hearts. That's good. You might make me forget what a bitter, angry old guy I am. Let's see here. Got an error message from my video streaming software. I'm going to ignore it. Wow, lots of hearts and smileys. Okay, I'm a happy guy. I'm a happy guy. And you're sort of convincing me that maybe I will do it. Maybe I will. Because I recorded every episode of Mr. Tent's Wild Ride, technology permitting. So I've got I was on the air from 2005 until 2020. So I got 15 years of radio, all recorded on CDs sitting in boxes in my attic. And they're not doing anybody any good there, so I just might fish them out. I actually have a couple of CDs already pulled that I'm going to make copies of for a friend of mine. Maybe that'll be the first one I upload. You guys are making me think. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anything to make me think. So as you know, as we begin each episode with Tent Talks Tunes by checking the mailbox and checking the bulletin board, the mailbox was pretty empty the past few days. So I got nothing to show and tell from the mails, except I will indeed reach over to one of last week's envelopes. So you can look at my talking head up close and personal. Just in case you all forgot, there's the address, TPOS, P.O. Box 3626, Newtown, Connecticut, 06470. That's TPOS, P.O. Box 3626, Newtown, Connecticut, 06470. If you want to send me something, I will be delighted to open it up on air and talk about it and send you something in return. I am definitely a little bit behind in my mail these days. I've got a few things to send out to people that I have not done yet, but I'm getting on it. The Lord moves in mysterious ways, and so does Malcolm Tent. Yes. So that's the mailbox. We'll check the calendar now. Wherever I put it, where did I put the calendar? Okay, now you guys do have to look at my forehead because I have to reach over past the camera to grab the calendar, which is an actual, honest-to-God, piece of paper. It's 12 pieces of paper stapled together with things scribbled on dates. What do we got coming up on the calendar? Well, let's see. Well, oh boy, I kind of lost myself there. Get back there, get back there. My forehead is very dangerous. My forehead's kind of like a battering ram. It'll knock a camera out of place in 1.5 seconds flat. Oh man, hold on a minute. We're having some problems. We're having technical difficulties. This is live in the spirit of cable access TV. When the glitches happen, you see them. So you get to watch me tighten the tripod on my camera. You guys are a very patient audience. I appreciate that. Thank you for your patience. Well, you get to see this stuff adjusted before your very eyes. And yes, this is going to be on my permanent record forever and ever and ever. This is going to be on YouTube until the sun goes supernova. All right, I hope that's it. I think that's it. Sean, my old pal Sean down in D.C. is laughing at me. Might as well. You're justified. So, okay, what's happening on the calendar? This Saturday, the 21st of September, I have an actual, genuine, bona fide release date. Yes, a release date for my label, TPOS. I have not one, but two smoking hot titles coming out on the cassette and CD format. I'll show you the cassettes. We have, coming out on the same day, the this is one of those days. I was talking to my boss, Jeff Clayton, earlier today about how Mercury is in retrograde, which means that all the technology fails all over the planet. I believe it. That's everything from not being able to hold up a cassette without it flying open. Mercury is in retrograde, kids, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to show you. Coming up, we've got the Mad Brother Ward Complete Anthology cassette, G.G. Allen's Suicide Rehearsals cassette. We got Mad Brother Ward Complete Anthology CD and G.G. Allen's Suicide Rehearsals CD. All coming out Saturday the 21st at 7 o'clock p.m. I will be posting links on the G.G. Allen fan page, on the Destructo Central fan page, and on my personal page with live links to Discogs and eBay, so you guys can order these when they come out. The cassettes and CDs are numbered to 100 copies each. Each one is numbered. You can see an example of the fine numbering on all of these things. And once the numbered edition is sold out, they're gone. Ain't gonna be no more. Yes, it will. Each title will stay in print, but future editions will not be numbered. And in the case of the Mad Brother Ward cassette, the first 100 are hand-signed by the Mad Brother himself. And the future editions, of course, will not be hand-signed, because I can't have Mad Brother Ward sitting there for his entire life signing cassette inserts. Can't do it. Johnny Ferris wants to know about 8-tracks. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. There are going to be 8-tracks somewhere down the line. Probably reel-to-reel tapes. And, you know, I've been wanting to figure out a way to do mini-discs forever, but mini-discs do not duplicate very quickly or easily, so mini-discs might have to wait. Floppy disks are a possibility, but man, you got to compress the audio to death to make a floppy disk of music. So, I don't know. But 8-tracks, bet your sweet bippy. Reel-to-reel, put money on it. It's going to happen. And then other exciting events happening on the calendar. I am playing a solo gig in Bridgeport, Connecticut on March 19th. We will have more details about that. And the almighty Antiseen have got some gigs coming up also in March. Shreveport, Louisiana on March 10th. Mobile, Alabama on March 11th. And New Orleans, Louisiana on March 12th. And we've got some other gigs in April. And of course, the 30th anniversary show. Sorry, scratch that. The 40th anniversary show happening September 30th at the Ground Zero in Spartanburg. Tickets are now on sale. Go to the Antiseen Facebook page and or antiseen.com for a link to purchase tickets for our Gala 40th anniversary show. If that show doesn't sell out, then something's wrong with this world, and the sun should go supernova and turn it into a cinder. So don't take chances. Help assure a sellout. Help us sell out. We've been trying to sell out for 40 years, man. Gee whiz. Greg Crawford says, watch out Mobile. Greg Crawford was there the last time we played Mobile. He knows what he's talking about. And Walt Wheat has confirmed that Hattiesburg, Mississippi is now happening on March 9th. That one was kind of up in the air last time I checked. But yes, Hattiesburg. Walt Wheat's hometown, baby. The home of Before I Hang. Good stuff. Good shizwit. A toast of Danbury Tap to good shizwit. Now, what do you say we talk tunes? Let's talk about some weirdo, bizarre records that have crossed my desk recently. Yes, you people know I like to talk about good music. I love to talk about weird music and the quite unusual and just plain old strange records that cross my desk. Now, strange, strange and weird and bizarre, those are big words that have wide fields of definition. When you say something strange, it doesn't really mean anything. Strange is in the ear of the behearer. It's in the eye of the beholder. Strange and weird are in the nose of the smeller. Bizarre is in the feel of the fingertips of the handler. This is the way I see it, baby. Weirdo music. Now, you might wonder, you might even ask me point blank if we ever meet in person, you might look me in the eye and say, Tent, how do you get all these weird-ass records? How do you find this stuff that you talk about every week on Tent Talks Tunes? Well, I never get tired of telling everybody that besides running the label, TPOS, besides strapping on the Thunder Lumba and playing bass guitar for Antiseen and Ultrabunny and They Hate Us and the Bloody Apostles, and putting on my guitar and playing my solo acoustic gigs, besides all that, I buy and sell used records. Braswell wants to know if there are any TPOS 40th anniversary releases planned. The answer is, if you are in attendance at the Antiseen 40th anniversary show, September 30th in Spartanburg, yes. But you gotta be there in order to collect it. That's all I'm saying. And Braswell, I hope you're free on February 12th. Sunday, February 12th. If you haven't talked to me or Jeff about it, talk to us about it ASAP. February 12th. That's all I'm saying. It relates directly to your question. Anyway, I digress. I buy and I sell records. I buy record collections. I hit the road and I hit record stores and I snap up all the good stuff to bring back to Connecticut to sell either in person or online. And so just by, the fact that I, like, for example, last week I had the opportunity to liquidate the record collection of a guy who was a very high-powered disco DJ. And this dude was active all the way from the mid-'70s up until, I would guess, the early 90s, looking at the stuff that was in his collection. And this dude had thousands of records. I mean, thousands of them. He didn't throw anything away. And so, when I go and look at a collection like that, the only way to actually do business is to buy a lot of the records, because I had to travel all the way down to Fairfield, Connecticut. It's about a 45-minute drive. And it's like, when you're confronted with a collection of that size, it just doesn't make any sense to, buy one here, buy one there, maybe pick out another one over there. You have to go for anything and everything that even remotely looks interesting, and that's just the scale of the economics of it. You have to buy in bulk with these things. And I see that Mike has messaged me. I'm going to reach over and minimize your comment. I'll check that out later, Mike. Folks, if you want to message me, I love hearing from you. I really appreciate it, but it's best if you wait until after I'm off the air, because the dialogue windows pop up and I can't see people's reactions and I can't monitor what I look like. So message me, please, but wait till after I'm done. Thank you very much. A toast to patience on the internet. So anyway, that's what you got to do. You got to buy in bulk. And I love doing that because, like, I'll reiterate what I said a second ago, anything that even looks interesting, I'll grab. I would do that anyway, because that's how you find the real good stuff and the real weird and interesting stuff. Everybody knows what a Fleetwood Mac record looks like, but nobody really has much of a clue as to what a Horst Jankowski record looks like. And you might think, Horst Jankowski, what the hell? That was kind of my reaction. I don't know, Horst Jankowski. The thing that got me about this record by Horst Jankowski was the title. Can you guys see that? Zabadak. Right off the bat, a song with a weird-ass title like Zabadak by a guy named Horst Jankowski is... it's interesting, it's intriguing. Not only just the song title and the fact that it's by a guy who I never even heard of before. If anybody out there know Klaus Nomi, you've heard me talk about Klaus Nomi a lot on Tent Talks Tunes. Whoops. Horst just took a dive. Come back here, Horst. You guys have heard me talk a lot about Klaus Nomi on Tent Talks Tunes. In a nutshell, Klaus Nomi, a gay German expatriate to New York pastry chef who invented a language that he sang in, and he sang it in this incredible high register operatic voice. I forget what a countertenor, I think, was his range. I want to say countertenor. I mean, you just wouldn't believe this guy. You gotta hear him and you gotta see him. It's the only way you can begin to comprehend Klaus Nomi. Eric Peterson says he's got a Klaus Nomi tattoo. All right, Eric, we want to see it. Provided that it's not on something that'll get me banned during the family hour. I want to see the Klaus Nomi tattoo. Please post a picture of the Klaus Nomi tattoo. Klaus Nomi, amazing. And according to Dan Duchter, I will back it up, the documentary about Klaus Nomi, which is called The Nomi Song, double thumbs up, must see. Great movie about a great subject. So if you know anything about Klaus Nomi, you know that one of his great lost songs, which only came out after he died, was not Zabadak, but it was Zabakdaz. Yes, Klaus Nomi, in his own language, the language of the planet Nomi, invented a word, Zabakdaz, and wrote a song about it. And that's a great song. It's one of my favorite Klaus Nomi songs. It's chill-inducing when you hear this song. Eerie and beautiful at the same time. I thought Zabakdaz was a really cool title. But guess what? Talent borrows, genius steals. I guess that Horst Jankowski, his countryman, came up with Zabadak first. And yes, it's on Mercury. It's a white label promo. I'm going to guess by the logo, probably late 60s. Mercury typically doesn't date their records, so it's hard to tell. But there was an album called And We Got Love by Horst Jankowski. And the music itself is... it's mildly weird. It's sort of like the seduction music that your mom and dad might have had when they were kids. You know, you'd put on Zabadak by Horst Jankowski and turn down the lights and turn on the lava lamp and light a couple of candles and, get a groovy love vibe going on while this played in the background. And I can just imagine the scenes that Klaus Nomi must have been involved in while Zabadak played in the background. I'm sure it was something else. So that's, I think, a great, odd, weird-ass record that inspired another great, weird record. I'd hoist my jug of Danbury Tap to the memory of Klaus Nomi. And by default, Horst Jankowski as well. Thank you both. Now, this is a weird record. And this is weird, in my opinion, all the right ways. I remember this record very well from when I was a kid growing up in South Florida. This record got a lot of airplay on Y100, which was the big top 40 station. And I've waxed rhapsodic a little bit about Y100. Y100 was awesome. It was top 40, but it was like anything went. You would hear anything from the full-length version of Freebird by Lynyrd Skynyrd to the full-length version of Disco Inferno by the Tramps. You would hear everything from... from what? I can't even begin to describe how wide the range of music was on Y100. I don't know if Y100 actually taught me how to be musically open-minded, but it certainly fit right into just my love of music and the fact that I could hear anything, you know, any style of music, from Van Halen to the Village People. They played it all. And this one song, and this one is dated 1972. I loved this song when it was on the radio, and I actually picked up the 45 of it recently on the Glades record label from Hialeah, Florida. Timmy Thomas. Why Can't We Live Together? Man, this song rules so hard. And listening to it now for the first time in many years with an adult mind and a critical ear, it's a weird record. It's a really weird record. It doesn't fit into any particular formula at all. The sound of it is a cheap drum machine with what I think is a guy playing real bongos and an organ and some bass guitar way in the background. That's it. Drum machine, bongos, organ, and just a smidgen of bass, while Timmy Thomas delivers a plea to the human race to just live together. And it's a really soulful, I mean, his delivery is fantastic. I mean, this is just a great record. It's the kind of record that, you know, you're not going to hear this on the radio today. If Top 40 radio was presented with this record today, they would throw it right in the garbage. But, at least in South Florida in 1972, it got a lot of damn play. And it's really weird. It's a bizarre sounding record. And the B-side, entitled Funky Me, is basically an instrumental version of the A-side. And it's the same formula. Drum machine, bongos, organ, and just some bass guitar way in the background. Fantastic. It makes me want to hear a lot more by Timmy Thomas, because I've honestly never heard a record like this, ever. And Mike Lesser mentions, yes, Timmy on TK Records, which is interesting because Glades from 72 predated TK Records by a few years, but it does give the credit to TK Productions. So there's a whole story to be told behind TK Records and their early incarnations. Glades being just one of them. I think Bold was another one. Don't have this stuff memorized, but yeah, fantastic stuff out of Hialeah, Florida, my hometown. Go figure, right? Timmy Thomas. Okay, here's one. Dennis Highland from Jackhammer Music. Dennis, if you're watching, I will definitely need your help on this one. I came across this one years ago, and it's been sitting in my voluminous inventory of records. I have a bin full of records with great cover art. And anybody who ever went to my brick and mortar record store, Trash American Style, whose flag I still fly, y'all might remember that at Trash we had the album cover from Hell bin. None of them were for sale. It was the one bin of records in the entire store that was not for sale. But it was just great album covers, you know, fantastic, weird, bizarre album covers. And I've always got a couple within arm's length. Here's one, for example, if I reach over here to my desk. One of these great Taiwanese pressings. This is the Best of Tom Jones. And just looking at it on the internet doesn't really do it justice, but you know, it's Tom, like, very badly cut out and pasted on a piece of paper. It's like, you know, his arm is missing. I mean, just really, really great, crudely done cover art. Stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. And so this thing has been sitting in my rogues gallery of album covers. And I even asked Jeff Clayton about this, because Jeff from Antiseen is a real aficionado of kaiju. Japanese monsters and Japanese monster movies. I sent Jeff a picture of it and said, Jeff, who is this? Who is this? It kind of looks like Spectre-Man, but it's not. It's not Spectre-Man. It's definitely not Ultraman. There's not one speck of English anywhere on the sleeve. This is definitely a Japanese kids record made for a Japanese kids market. And I don't know who this guy is. Dennis, since you are the American branch of the Japanese record label Jackhammer, who have released a fine Antiseen record, The Split with Before I Hang, can you help me ID this? Maybe your label boss, Warzy, can tell me who this is. It's got the really awesome, page or two of photos and a story, I'm going to guess. Out of all of the giant monster and giant robot superhero shows to come out of Japan that have aired in the U.S., I've never seen this one. I don't know who it is. Looks particularly crude. That is some real low-budget shiz-witty there, kids. The kind I like. Looks like he's fighting a giant droop-along. Very cool. Don't know who it is. It's very weird. Help me, Dennis. Help the guy who releases records on your label. Help me. Help me. There's a record in here somewhere if I can figure out how to open it up. There's another page featuring all kinds of characters, none of whom I recognize. This is great stuff, man. I just love culturally weird artifacts such as this. I'm pretty sure the record is a flexi. Oh, there we go. Look, I'm a smart guy. Yeah, really cool. Check this out. There's the label art with kind of a stylized robot on it. You can't really see the glory of the translucent red plastic that it's pressed on, but it's a very thick flexi disc. And, oh, I take it back. It does have a little bit of English, but not enough. Not enough to determine who it is. Stereo, it determines that it's stereo, and it's got a catalog number, and it's 33. It's on the Asahi Sonorama label, but we still don't know who the superhero is. And this is kind of, and Callie wants to know if there's a Toei logo. No, not a Toei logo at all, as far as I can determine. Just the Asahi Sonorama. That's all I can tell you. And showing this to you guys, I'm actually extremely embarrassed because I've never listened to it. I haven't heard this. I don't even know what's on it. It's got one long track on one side and two shorter ones on the other, and I am very, very embarrassed to admit that I have yet to listen to this. We'll take care of that tonight. I'm going to put this over to the side next to the play pile. Can't quite get it to the play pile, but we're going to gently toss it over there. I'm going to listen to that thing for the first time in the 20 or so something years I've had it. I gotta rectify that, and I will, promise. So yes, Dennis or Warzy, or if my old pal, oh my gosh, my old pal, he told me from Osaka, he told me Arimoto, if you're watching, tell me who it is. I don't know. I gotta know. All right, on to something weird here. We're going to sort of change gears a little bit. This might be less weird than it is cynical. I just love this stuff, man. Actually, here's a couple of weird ones I wasn't going to talk about before. These have actually been sitting around for a long time in the to talk about pile for Tent Talks tunes. This is just one of those things. Fits the criteria that I mentioned earlier. I was looking at a record store somewhere, and I saw this. It's on a label that I'm not familiar with called Boom Records. The name of the band is The Sheep, which, once again, that's mighty. To me, a band name like The Sheep is quite evocative. On the A side, you've got Hide and Seek. On the B side, you've got 12 Months Later. What really got me is the fact that Hide and Seek, and once again, I'm testing the limits of my camera here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the writer of Hide and Seek is a guy named Bunker Hill. And Bunker Hill has gotten some airtime here on Tent Talks Tunes. Bunker Hill is one of those absolutely insane, out of control, wild R&B singers. He's got a song, actually Hide and Seek is one of his songs. Little Red Riding Hood is one of his songs. But the creme de la creme, the one that's going to make your blood pressure explode your head, is a song called The Girl Can't Dance. Dude. Goosebump City. Can you see them goosebumps? Goosebumps all over my arms and legs at the thought of The Girl Can't Dance by Bunker Hill. Now, if anybody out there wants to post a link to that one, I'm sure it's on YouTube. The Girl Can't Dance by Bunker Hill. Whoa. So now, I've never known Bunker Hill to do any outside writing or for anybody to actually cover a Bunker Hill song. He had, as far as I know, 3 singles. They were on the Mala label, which was a Bell subsidiary. And of course, you know, Bell, the home of Partridge Family, Barry Manilow, you know, the Box Tops were on, I think, Mala, Bell subsidiary. So how this very bland vanilla record label ended up with a guy named Bunker Hill, I don't know. I think they might have had some other really crazy R&B screamers on the label, but nobody like Bunker Hill, I guarantee you that. So yeah, I had to put my eye back into my skull when I saw that somebody with the evocative name of The Sheep was covering a Bunker Hill song. And so imagine my surprise when I take it home, and it's like it's a garage band. It's like a 60s garage band. According to my notes here, the B-side 12 months later is just another rewrite of Hang On Sloopy and or Louie Louie. Eric Peterson wants to know, didn't Bunker Hill have something to do with Link Wray? Yes, Link Wray and the Raymen backed up Bunker Hill on at least one of his records, which just adds another layer of complete insanity to the story. I mean, it's just so great the way that all these artists cross-pollinate each other. Love this stuff. And so here you've got a probably typically Midwestern 60s garage band who somehow heard Hide and Seek and made their own garage rock band of a great Bunker Hill song. Great. Love it. Love it. Awesome stuff. People, do yourselves a favor and look this one up, and also look up the originals by Bunker Hill. Satisfaction for me, guaranteed. Maybe for you too. Now, here's another one of those things that's just, I think this is where we take a detour into pure cynicism. Pure cynicism. Now, being a child of the 70s and living in South Florida and having a powerhouse top 40 radio station in town, I, of course, was well-versed in the ways of Saturday Night Fever, Grease, the Bee Gees, you know, those double album soundtracks on RSO records that were ubiquitous. You just could not get away from them. They were all over the radio. They were in all of the stores. Who even knows how many umpteen centrifugillion copies of those records got sold during that time? And it's very interesting because RSO, the Robert Stigwood organization, that was the name of the label, RSO vanished really quickly. You'd think, well, God, they had the Bee Gees, they had Eric Clapton, they had Saturday Night Fever, they had Grease. What could go wrong? What could go wrong to torpedo a multi-million-dollar, multi-million-selling record label so quickly and so effectively? I got the answer right here, guys. Practically one record. One record. For all intents and purposes, one record brought the whole thing down. And it is this one right here, kids. Right here. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the original film soundtrack. Yes, the original motion picture soundtrack of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, starring the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton. And it's one of those questions you would ask, what could possibly go wrong? Some of the biggest selling artists of the time, Bee Gees and Peter Frampton, on the biggest selling label of the time, RSO, in a major motion picture, on a format, the double album movie soundtrack, that was selling literally tonnage, literally like tons of units being shifted. What could go wrong? You know what went wrong? Two things. One, the movie sucked. Two, the album sucked. They both stank. P.U. And I forget who. Somebody posted on my page earlier when I had the photo of this album, and they said it was legit one of their favorite albums. More power to you, man. If you like this album, it's your favorite album, there's no way I'm going to rain on your parade, you know? Some of my favorite records you would probably think smell worse than a bunch of cheddar cheese left out in the sun for a few days. To each their own. It is my humble opinion that this record is stank. How do I know it's stank? Well, after seeing this record clogging up the cutout bins for decades, and I mean decades, okay? Decades. I remember when this record came out, it got the usual full court press of publicity from the biz. It was in all of the record stores. Big displays, like if you walked into Specs Music at the Westland Mall, which is my haunt, the first thing you saw was a giant-sized pyramid display just loaded with copies of Sgt. Pepper. If you went to J.C. Penney's record department, displays of Sgt. Pepper. If you went to the Sears record department, the Treasury, Gold Triangle, Zayre's, didn't matter. Record store, department store, couldn't get away from this thing. It was everywhere. Problem is, the movie came out, and it bombed. Like, bombed. I remember, and this kind of relates to a story that Jeff Clayton talked about yesterday on his podcast, Break On Through, which airs every Tuesday at 5 p.m. on the Antiseen Facebook page. And he talks about, kind of like what I do, a lot of cultural references. He talked about going to see the new Ultraman movie in a basically empty theater. It was him and one other guy. Well, it was kind of like that. When Sgt. Pepper, the movie, opened, me and my brothers had one of our movie days where we went to the 163rd Street Shopping Center movie theaters to catch a matinee movie. I went to go see Silent Movie by Mel Brooks. My brother went to go see Sgt. Pepper. And I remember walking into the theater with him just to, say see you later. And the place was empty. It was him and there were two other guys there who he told me later were only there just to screw around and be stupid. They weren't there to actually watch the movie. They were just there because they had to be there, Parents dropped him off or something. He was the one guy in the theater to see Sgt. Pepper when it opened. And I asked him afterwards, so how was it? He said, well, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. My brother is that kind of guy. He won't say, oh, pfft. He would sort of politely say, pfft. So, okay, the movie tanks. And at least as partially a result of that, nobody bought the record. So the record went from being in all of the record stores when you walked in and all of the department stores when you walked in to a few weeks later being in the back in the discount bin. Hundreds of them, all with the telltale cut corner. When they cut the ends off, you're not allowed to sell it for full retail. It is officially a cutout. And they all had the cuts. They all, whatever, slits in the cover, corners cut off. And there they sat forever and ever. What's the date on this thing? 1978. 1978. Fun fact, when I opened up my record store, Trash American style, and I placed my first ever order of cutout records from the big cutout distributor in New Jersey, I got my first catalog in 1987. 1987, I get the list of cutouts. First section is the $1 section. What's in there? Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band soundtrack for $1 each wholesale. I did not order any. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band soundtrack was in that cutout catalog for $1 each wholesale from 1987 until the day that I no longer had brick and mortar in 2005. Sorry, 2007. Let's get the dates right. So for 20 years, I could open up the cutout record catalog and buy as many copies of Sgt. Pepper's soundtrack for $1 each, sealed, as I wanted. I can't even imagine how many of those things they must have had in that warehouse. And the fact that nobody bought them ever. I never went into a record store and saw them as new cutouts. Ever. So, you know, once again, somehow, when I was buying a record collection or something, somehow I ended up with one of these. It was just in a collection. And I was like, well, okay, I got it. What do I do with it? Maybe I'll listen to it. Really? Am I going to listen to this thing? I mean, I never spent the $1 for it, you know, and do I really want to listen to this thing? I don't know. It seems kind of risky. It's a double album. But could it really be that bad? I mean, it's all Beatles songs. It's produced by George Martin. You know, Bee Gees, Steve Martin, you know, they were kind of at the height of their power in '78. How bad could it be? How bad could it be? The answer, my friend, was Breaking in the Wind. Once again, apologies to anybody out there who has this record and likes it. It's lame. It is weak. Adult, middle of the rock, borderline easy listening Muzak versions of Beatles songs. It's a snooze fest. It's good music to take naps by. And it's 2 albums worth. And they expected people to pay, whatever, $15.98 for this thing? In 1978? Ooh, boy. With a movie that nobody wanted to see either? Yeah. So between this and the Times Square soundtrack that came out a couple years later, in which RSO attempted to cash in on New Wave, another movie that bombed, and another double album soundtrack which tanked and clogged out the cutout bins forever and ever and ever, that was the end of RSO. Sorry, Stig. Game over. Done. You jumped the shark not once but twice. Perhaps proving that maybe there is no such thing as a winning formula unless you're AC/DC or the Ramones. Here's another incredibly cynical record, which sort of qualifies as weird. Somehow it's the only one of these things I've ever seen. A band called Revanche. An album called Music Man. A group of fellows on the front cover who bear at least a passing resemblance to the Village People. At least. A passing resemblance to the Village People. And an album title, Music Man, that bears at least a passing resemblance to Macho Man. And I can just see it now, you know, because this has got to be 1978. I mean, that was the year, 79, even worse. Oh my God. Majors really, really started cashing in on disco, like hardcore, around 78. And by 79, they had just like literally killed the market for disco. So I can just see the meeting at Atlantic Records, the label this thing came out on. So, okay, right, you got the Village People, right? Village People, you know? Got 5 or 6 gay dudes, and each one of them's in a funny outfit. We can do that. We'll get a bunch of gay guys, and, well, you know, the Village People's got a sailor, and they've got a soldier. We'll just, you know, have 2 sailors and 2 soldiers. And, well, they're, you know, we'll call them Revenge. It'll be great. We'll make millions. And I can just see it now. The record company, it's like, well, I don't know. Revenge is kind of a negative name. You know, don't want to call it Revenge. Change it to something that's not really revenge. Okay, Revanche. Yeah, fine. Revanche. Close enough to Revenge. Okay, we're in business, right? Well, no, I don't know. I mean, the Village People, you know, they sell a lot of records, but they're so gay. I think we've got enough of that in the marketplace these days. I think we need to show that we're all firmly heterosexual around here. So you need to give them a woman. Put a woman on the front cover. That'll show that we're not trying to, you know, cater to these homosexuals. All right. Put a woman on the cover. Okay, great, fine. We're in business, right? Well, I don't know. We listened to it, and I don't know. You really got to cater to the you can't have any more of this gay shit. All right, I'm just telling you right now. No more of this gay stuff, okay? All right? Put a woman in there, and put a couple of straight-sounding guys in there, all right? And it'll be fine. We can release it then. It's like, okay, we'll put some female vocals on there, and we'll smooth it out, you know? And the result, a combination of a promoter's cynicism and a record company's cynical cowardliness, is this sort of mishmash hodgepodge. Not quite the Village People. They don't really look straight, but there is a woman on there. It's not, there's a song called Revenge on there, but the band's called Revanche. Dude, record company thinking at its best, worst, most cynical. And on top of that, it's not even that good of a record. It's definitely what we call in the business generic disco. It is generic disco with overtones of Village People sound-alikeism. And I love the Village People. And the Village People are awesome. Village People are so much fun. I could put on any old Village People record right now and shake a tail feather. And I'm not known for shaking a tail feather. You know, it's not one of my... You know, I've got a sort of a stoic personality and dignified presentation. But you put on the Village People, that all goes out the window, baby. I'm a dancing fool when the Village People come on. Let me tell you. But not Revanche. No, not Revanche. No. Too many cooks, not enough broth. I'm going to wrap up this week's episode of Tent Talks Tunes by getting into something that is genuinely bizarre. This is some real weird shiznitty right here. Now, I remember when I was a young lad coming up in the South Florida punk rock scene, a friend of mine, we were hanging out, and he said, man, I've got these really weird records. And one of them was this very record right here, not this actual copy of it. The Voice of Alabama by the Son of Mississippi on Rebel Records. All right. That's the B-side. The A-side, Flight NAACP 105 by the Son of Mississippi. And this guy had a bunch of other records by this guy, the Son of Mississippi, on Rebel Records. And he said, you want to hear it? I said, yeah, sure. So he played it. And it was like, ugh. I think the term they use nowadays is cringeworthy. And it's like, well, okay, what genre do you put it in? What kind of genre do you put it in? I wouldn't even know what genre to call it until I found another record of a similar ilk on the Conservative Records label. The name of this one being Old Uncle Joe. Oh my God. And the A-side being The Big March. The record store in Ohio that I found it at came up with a very apt genre for it. Bigot humor. Bigot humor. Perfectly describes it. Bigot humor. And then looking this stuff up on Discogs, they have it listed under the category of segregationist humor. Once again, I cannot make this stuff up. There is no making up these kinds of things. You know, it's pretty nasty stuff, although there is a disclaimer on the A side of Flight NAACP 105. It says, note, some say it is like this, but it is not true. Signed J. Harris. Or Jay Norris, I think. Yeah, Jay Norris. I'm guessing Jay Norris is the son of Mississippi. I'm not really sure. So you got, and this is some bizarre stuff. Talk about niche marketing. So thanks to the wonders of Discogs, I was able to look up Rebel Records. And this is where the story gets very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Rebel Records was one of many, many, many record labels out of Louisiana owned by a guy named J.D. Miller. And J.D. Miller had quite a few record labels, not only Rebel Records, which catered to the segregationist crowd, but he also put out lots of, like, honest-to-God, genuine classic blues records on one of his labels. He was the first guy to release I'm a King Bee by Slim Harpo. He released a pile of, like, super desirable disco records, like, really, like, honest-to-God, hot disco sides in the 70s. He released a scad of classic Cajun records, starting in the late 50s, going up all the way into the 1970s. And on top of that, you know, not only did he release all this great music, in addition to the bigot humor, on the Bigot Humor Son of Mississippi record, it's got, just plain as day, his publishing company, J Mill Music, a BMI subsidiary. This stuff was published by BMI. And he put his name on it, loud and proud. I would love to know the story behind this guy, J.D. Miller. I was not able to find a whole awful lot, but a dude who would release classic blues sides, classic disco sides, hot Cajun music, and titles like The Son of Mississippi, which overtly catered to the Ku Klux crowd. I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't know if this guy was, like, libertarian or sociopathic or had some kind of really bizarre sense of humor, or maybe he was just a dude who figured he could get the money from any possible revenue stream he could. I'm sure the story behind it is fascinating. So if anybody knows anything about J.D. Miller from Louisiana, who had Rebel Records and released the very first ever recording of Slim Harpo, I'm a King Bee, I'd love to read it. Let me know. And to answer the question, did I listen to it? Yes, I listened to it again. I remember it being very cringeworthy when I was a kid, and I played it again, and it's still cringeworthy. It's not even funny. I mean, I think everybody out there has heard off-color humor and, you know, offensive humor, and you're kind of like, you kind of laugh in spite of yourself. They're not even funny. They're just weird. Just really bizarre. And they're the only, like that one and this one are the only two I've ever actually found in the wild. Ever. So yeah, very strange stuff. And in a way, kind of an appropriate way to end an episode of Tent Talks Tunes. So I want to thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. And let me just yammer on and on and on and on about some of the great things in life, which of course are records and tapes and CDs, and also kind of by extension, the music and the weird, odd, bizarre sounds that come on them. It is one of my great joys in life, and I love sharing it with all you people out there and getting the exchange of information going and the conversation flowing and all that stuff. So, yes, thank you for tuning in. And please don't forget, this Saturday, the 21st, the live release debut of the Mad Brother Ward anthology cassette the G.G. Allin Suicide Rehearsals cassette, the Mad Brotherboard Anthology CD, and the G.G. Allin Suicide Rehearsals CD. Limited editions of 100 numbered copies each. Cassettes hand-signed by Mad Brother Ward. It's good stuff. I'll post the links to Discogs and eBay live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, Lord willing and the creeks don't rise, I'll be back in about 167 hours' time. Until we meet again, this is Malcolm Tent saying so long from the Nutmeg State.